So I want to talk about AI horror stories that have been appearing on Instagram. And I have to thank my son, Spencer Klavan, no relation, for bringing these works to my attention because he's somewhat younger than I am and he finds stuff on Instagram that I don't find. But they do fulfill a prediction I've made many times on the show that AI and other technology would revivify visual arts by taking them away from the corporations and democratizing the culture that made them. So we no longer had to listen to this monocultural baloney that has destroyed Hollywood. But anyone will be able to make a film. Now, these are very primitive versions of that. But still, I've also said that short entertainments in a world with a quickly dwindling attention span will also be important, that will tell stories that are 1 minute long or 2 minutes long. And that's what these are. So these are on Instagram. These are short horror stories made with AI images, and they're barely animated, and they have a narration. But I picked a couple. Spencer sent me a bunch, and I picked a couple of the ones that I thought were the best. And this is it's about 1.5 minutes long. It's from a site called storydj.tales, and you have just gotten a job at a laundromat, and here is the instructional video. This is cut 10.
Good news. You have been hired as the new night attendant at Sunfresh Suds, a late-night laundromat located at the end of Millertown Road, just past the abandoned theme park and the mural nobody remembers painting. Your duties are simple: keep the soap dispensers full, clean out the machines, mop the floor, and most importantly of all, follow these rules. 1. Never touch the clothes in machine 6, even if they have been spinning all night. They're beyond cleaning, and you don't want their owner to come and pick them up. 2. If you see wet footprints leading into the back room between 3:11 a.m. and 3:47 a.m., check the CCTV. If the footprints belong to another version of you, hide in the locker room until 5:03 a.m. 3. When machine 4 displays error code weep at 1:11 a.m., restart it. You may hear voices from inside, but let it finish its full cycle. You don't want what's in there to get out. 4. If a flyer advertising a lost dog named Milo appears on a notice board along with a reward, destroy it immediately. There is no dog. Milo died in 1999. And remember, management will not cover replacement uniforms, so keep yours clean. Good luck.
I love some of that stuff. The mural nobody remembers painting, the dead dog. And I love the random numbers, the times of like 1:11, 3:13, whatever. Stephen King does that. There's something very frightening about numbers being used in an irrational way. Let's take a look at just a little bit of one from Unearthly AI. This is a guy, they're doing experiments on angels. And the angel is the first one to speak, is cut 11.
I love you.
We have ran a plethora of tests on the angel, and from our results, it appears to be hyper-intelligent. So far, any attempts of measuring the full extent of its intellect have yielded less than ideal results, as the subject seems to exceed the limits of all available tests.
Save me?
No.
Going to do experiments on angels, even though she's crying out for it to be saved. Anyway, what I love about these is they're sort of a spin-off development of certain storytelling in certain puzzle video games, like Braid, Inside, Limbo, even The Room a little bit. These are stories that depend on visuals and gameplay to involve you in narratives that are incomplete. You have to the viewer has to sort of fill in what's going on at the laundromat? What is happening in this, in this laboratory? And we don't always find out the entire story. We fill things in, and that means we automatically try to make sense of what looks like a series of random, warnings in the laundromat. We sometimes try to think what is going on. Sometimes the stories that we make out of these are more successful than others, but somehow the fact that we have to fill them in adds to the eeriness of them and adds to your sense that you're not quite in control. And I think that there's a reason this is important right now. It illustrates a truth that is always true, that is part of the human condition, but has been underscored and magnified by the internet, which is that as much information as we gather, we are always filling in blanks. This is called confabulation. There's an actual word for it. There's 2 books that cover this that I've read. They're both by neuroscientists scientists. One is by a guy named Michael Gazzaniga, who wrote The Consciousness Instinct, and the other is by this guy whose fame is rising named Ian McGilchrist, who wrote The Matter with Things, which is this very long book, which I read this year. He's going to come on the show next month. I'm really looking forward to talking to him. He's going to come on the interview. And McGilchrist has this theory that the right brain, which is the Gestalt brain, is the brain that puts things together into generalized concepts and sees the big picture, as it were. I think that's probably the best word for it. And then the left brain theorizes and solves problems and just focuses on these physical things that it does, and it eliminates that greater sense of reality. And what McGilchrist says is that Western civilization has flipped the script so that the right brain should be in charge, is in fact under the sway of the left brain. So the left brain might know how to fix the car, but it's the right brain that gives you the experience of driving in the car. And so obviously the full experience of life is being lost to this kind of theoretical experience. And the thing is, and people have damage to their right hemisphere. The left hemisphere basically comes up with a theory of the limited things that it sees, because with the right hemisphere gone, it's not seeing everything. And the left hemisphere will come up with a story about what it's seeing. And it cannot be argued out of that story, even if it is informed that that it isn't seeing things. So it'll come up with a theory, of life, like the Jews are behind all the evil. And when you say, that really doesn't make any sense, it will stick to that theory no matter what. So that's confabulation. So we are in this situation always where we have a certain amount of information, but we don't have all the information. We start to put together narratives. And those narratives, even if they're untrue, we stick to them, we cling to them, because we're not getting a full gestalt. And this has happened, there is no God is another one. It's very hard for people to talk and think as if there were a God now, because I think we have lost some of the capacity of that part of our brain. Now, I'm going to ask McGilchrist about this, because I think focusing on the brain may be a mistake. I think it's just part of the human condition, that this is the way when we lose our faith. It's not that we lose our faith because our brains aren't working. It's because our brains aren't working because we lose our faith. That's the way I see it. Many of you would like to get a Helix Sleep mattress because you're having a hard time getting to sleep. I never sleep, so I love a Helix Sleep mattress because it's so comfortable and I'm there to experience it. I'm not one of these weaklings who just feel so comfortable I fall asleep. I lie awake and think, wow, this thing is really comfortable. What makes Helix different is they don't just sell you a random mattress, they actually match you with the perfect one for your body and sleep style. In my case, my lying awake style. Whether you're a side sleeper, back sleeper, or non-sleeper, they've got you covered. All you have to do is take their sleep quiz and find your ideal match. Trust me, when you find the right match, you will wonder how you ever slept on anything else. Right now is actually the perfect time to upgrade your sleep, because Helix is offering an amazing sale. Go to helixsleep.com/Klavan. You will get 27% off site-wide, plus a free bedding bundle, which includes a sheet set and mattress protector with any Luxe or Elite mattress order. That's helixsleep.com/Klavan for 27% off site-wide, plus a free bedding bundle with any Luxe or Elite mattress order. helixsleep.com/Klavan. I know you're thinking, what a great deal. How do you spell Klavan? Well, I'll tell you, it's Klavan, so you can start sleeping better tonight. The internet magnifies this because we're getting so many pieces of information that essentially we're getting no information at all. So we have all this information, and the left brain, or whatever that narrow way of thinking, that narrow theoretical way of thinking, can confabulate stories out of this. And once we have those stories, we believe in them. And you see it in the media all the time. The media will say, if Trump imposes tariffs, then there'll be inflation. And I'll say, well, wait, maybe he's just negotiating. And then Trump will say, okay, you did what I want you to do, so I'm not going to put on tariffs. And the media will say, he backed down. In other words, they'll stick to their story, even though what has been proven is that my story was the correct one. My story that he was negotiating was the correct one. They say he's backing down. I said, no, that's the way negotiations work. You pull off when you get what you want. So I believe that my personal belief about this is that because God is the core of reality, and because we've lost our faith in God, and faith is the evidence of things unseen, faith gives you the power to see what cannot be seen. I think that is absolutely true. So we've lost the power to see reality. I think we've lost the power to see reality, and I think it's driving us crazy. I think that basically modernity from about 1500 on is the story of mankind going increasingly insane. And these little movies, some of these video games as well, I think they're capturing something, this sense of eeriness you get when you have a series of facts that you see, a narrow series of facts. You form a story out of that, but things keep happening that don't really fit in. Who drew the mural that nobody remembers drawing? Who made that coincidence in your life that you met your wife and she turned out to be the love of your life? Where did that come from? It's the sense of eeriness that things are not real, that reality is not quite real. And I think because we have lost our faith, that sense is increasing, and because the internet is giving us all these facts but no information, I think it's getting worse and worse. And that's what I think the arts are telling us. And so I think we have to start the big project that I think we face, and I think especially people who are much younger, 25, is how are we going to learn to see again? It is not going to be just by following the catechism. It's not going to be, I think we should all go back to our churches, but I think that we're going to have to find out new ways of thinking about old truths so that we can experience them again and know them again. If you love great content, and you probably should, like and subscribe, and don't forget to subscribe to The Andrew Klavan Show wherever you get your podcasts.